Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The WBC champion Deontay Wilder claims he should be entitled to a 60-40 purse split in his favour for an Anthony Joshua fight should he beat Tyson Fury on December 1st in Los Angeles. Now, I know the comment section, it's going to be lighting up like a Christmas tree on this one, with fans both for and against that sentiment from the WBC champ. I'll get straight into Wilder's statement, then on to some thoughts. So, in an interview with The Boxing Voice, which has been in Wilder's current training camp, the WBC champ was asked, well, why will you only accept 50-50 in an undisputed fight with Anthony Joshua? His response, after this Fury fight, shit. For me, in my mind, shit. Fuck 50-50. It's 60-40. You feel me? It's 60-40. But to make this fight happen for the fans, I'm willing to tell 50-50. That's the difference. It ain't going to go lower than that. I promise you that. Deontay Wilder's statement to The Boxing Voice. 60-40. Jeez. That is never going to happen in a million years. Saying he will be worth that is actually, it's an incredible statement to make, especially at this stage. The fight hasn't even happened yet. You could maybe potentially argue he could make a case for that if he absolutely crushed the pay-per-view and got the 2.5 million buyers that he says the event will do. But you need massive numbers in the books just to ever justify 60-40, leaving his lips. Right now, simply saying he deserves 60% of the pot if he beats Fury, it's ridiculous. The reality is Deontay Wilder's commercial value, it's coming off an extremely low base compared to Anthony Joshua's. And this is the fight to help establish where his value is really at. Because right now, we don't really know. As it is, many fans believe Wilder will be doing well to get 40% of the purse, let alone 50 or even 60%. But setting aside these farcical comments that he thinks he'd be worth 60%, what this is really about is getting an even split of the purse. Saying he'd be willing to accommodate a 10% discount. What a guy, give a 10% discount and take 50-50. For the fans, no less. It's not the first time that Wilder has actually thrown out 50-50. When negotiations ended in July, he said that was the first time around. He said 50-50 is what he wanted. Any new negotiation, that's where talks would start. And a week or so ago, in another interview with The Boxing Voice, he stated there would be no meeting until December to discuss any offers. And Eddie Hearn, he knew what it would take to make a fight. And that is clearly 50-50. So we can take from his recent statements that the percentage offer recently made by Matchroom was not 50-50. Otherwise, the fight would have been locked up by now. We would have heard that was the prize should he get past Fury. But for a guy saying that he won't be negotiating until December, won't be sitting down taking any meetings, talking about what is and is off the table, what he is doing and saying very publicly is very much negotiating. This is negotiating. He is giving his bottom line of what it takes to make a mega fight that fans want to see. And the bottom line for Wilder is 50-50. But what this fight comes down to, and I've been saying this for a while now, and I referenced it in my latest Patreon video, it's not the willingness of the fighters that's in question here. We know that both want the fight. I doubt that both don't want it. No one is scared of the other. They want this fight. Both want to silence the other. They want to hold all the belts. They want to claim they are the best of their generation. Wilder's already doing that, saying he is the best and the most fed heavyweight of his generation. Joshua is saying he's the best. But what this fight comes down to, and it not being made, is because it's down to how much money each is going to get. And when I say each, taking their wider camps into that as well. Money is what's preventing this fight being made because there's just too much of it that will be made. Fact. Boxing is a business masquerading as entertainment, and the reality is money is the biggest factor in fights going ahead or not. All these narratives that both sides are pushing at us to paint that the other doesn't want the fight, it's complete nonsense. It's about how many tens of millions of dollars each fighter and their team is going to get paid. Plain and simple. So when Wilder says to make this fight happen for the fans, he's willing to take 50-50, it is not about the fans. It is about himself and how much he and his team get. It is about the money. But you can argue that for both sides. Both sides want as much as possible. The greed is strong here. And Matchroom, it should have offered Wilder a percentage back in April, and maybe we'd have avoided 3 months of complete crap and tedious negotiations that played out publicly very bitterly. But then again, conversely, if it wasn't about money, then Wilder should have signed the contract for $15 million that he publicly agreed to. Both sides have been desperately trying to win the PR battle, make the other look bad, while holding out for more money, what they want. That is the sort of strip everything away. That's what's been happening. It's about money and how much. It's frustrating. Eddie Hearn has publicly stated that if the Wilder and Fury fight does 1 million pay-per-view buys, then he'll give Wilder 50-50. But the reason he's thrown that out there is he's confident that it won't do that. And I doubt he's willing to offer anything close to that until the numbers are in. There will be no 50-50 coming before December. That's why he's trying to lock Wilder up on something less than that before December. He wants to cap Wilder's value now. If the buys, say for example, if the buys were low or nowhere near 1 million, if it was more in the Steven Espinoza range of 200 to 600,000, because that's what he's expecting, maybe he's been conservative, but perhaps he's actually been quite realistic as well. Because I think if it does 600,000, that's actually a success. That falls in the range that most pay-per-view fighters, between 2 and 600,000 for their debut pay-per-view, that falls in the range that most of, the big pay-per-view names did for their first event. So there's no shame in it being 4, 5, 600,000. But if the event, it didn't do as well as expected, say it was 200, 300,000 at the lower end, that would cap Wilder's negotiating position to some extent. But make no mistake, he will still have a lot of value. He would have just beaten Tyson Fury, picked up the lineal status. It's another successful defense of his belt, a signature win. And whatever offer he gets, because there probably is going to be another offer, especially if they're not going to entertain anything before December, the value that he now brings, it should be reflected in that offer. And because the latest percentage offer hasn't been disclosed publicly, we don't really have any idea how good it or otherwise it is. Is it fair or isn't it? We just don't know. Is it 30%? Is it 40%? Is it 7%? I mean, who knows? But the other side of this coin is, and perhaps this is going to be controversial for some, we keep hearing that Anthony Joshua is just desperate to make this Deontay Wilder fight. Hence the repeated approaches from Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, at every opportunity saying he's doing all he can to make the fight. That he's going around Shelley Finkel, that he's talking to Al Heyman and Al Heyman's lawyers and such. We've been hearing Eddie Hearn saying all sorts of manner of things, even though Deontay Wilder's been disputing a lot of that publicly, sort of saying, look, we're not having talks with these guys until December. But Joshua, if he really wanted to, he could say to Eddie Hearn, look, or Barry Hearn, or whoever within Matchroom and his representatives, his management people, let's just give him 50-50, let's get it made. He'd be giving up millions in that scenario, but it certainly would ensure that the fight gets made. And we keep hearing how Joshua wants to do anything to make the fight, and doing 50-50, that falls into the category of anything. But given everything that we have seen and heard over several tedious and trying months for fans, let alone the people involved in this, I can't see Matchroom ever entertaining 50-50 unless Wilder Fury really goes gangbusters and they've got the data to say, okay, he is worth 50-50. We can pull the trigger on that deal because we know that everyone involved is going to make a boatload of money in an undisputed fight in April 2019. So for all the statements, though, back and forth, the wheels are going to keep spinning here. We're going to keep spinning ourselves into a lather. It's going to continue until December, if not beyond. And there's a reason many fans believe Dillian Whyte is the favourite to fight Joshua in April, because getting a Wilder and Joshua deal done just feels like mission impossible. And there's just too much money involved. There's too much on the line. No one wants to sort of crib any advantage or give any away to the other side. And both are playing hardball. 50-50 from Wilder says that is the bottom line, no lower. Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua, that Matchroom camp and Joshua's representatives, that's not the deal they want to make right now. It may be the deal they have to make to get the fight, but I just can't see it. Not now. Maybe after December, but even then, doesn't feel likely right now. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. That's boxing_squared. I'm out. If you want even more boxing content, come and join me on Patreon. Every week on a Sunday, I drop a new video on something topical or thought-provoking from the heavyweight division, ranging from rankings, the business of boxing, the false economy of deluded fanboys, the twists and turns in the division, to assessments of fighters and their statements. I hope to see you there, and for more information go to patreon.com/boxing squared. The address is on screen now.